You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
What a beautiful day for horses in the morning.
You are listening to the #1 horse podcast in the world. Here's your entertaining look at the horse world and the people in it.
Good morning. I'm Christy Landwehr.
And I'm Glenn the Geek, and you're listening to the special monthly NRHA episode of Horses in the Morning on the Horse Radio Network for Thursday, May 11th.
Good morning, Horse World.
It's the second Thursday of the month. That means it's time to slide in to the National Reining Horse Association episode of Horses in the Morning.
So today, our normal co-host for the show, Sarah Honegger, is out and about. So Glenn, it's you and I again.
Do you mean she did one episode, didn't like me and left? Is that?
No. She'll be back, just not today.
Okay. So I'm so glad to be here with you again. It's always fun doing shows with you, no matter what we're talking about.
I agree. It doesn't make any difference. As long as it's horse-related, here we are.
Well, what are we doing on today's reining episode?
So today we're going to talk about how does the judging work in reining. And we're going to start, first of all, by meeting Commissioner Gary Carpenter. And for those that might not know, commissioner is like what you have in a sport of any kind. So you have the commissioner of baseball, commissioner of football.
I want to be a
commissioner. Commissioner of reining.
I've been a president. I've been a vice president. I've been all that. I want to be a commissioner.
I know, me too. I'm like, wait, CEO, executive director, commissioner.
Commissioner, I think, sounds better. Yeah, I agree.
Well, and then we're going to go even deeper dive into the equine Western sport of reining, and we're going to go ahead and chat a little bit with Patti Carter. She's staff for us. She's Senior Director of Educations and Officials for NRHA. And then Eugenio Latorre, he's the chairman of our Judges Committee, and he's going to come on and chat more with us. And he just happens to live in Spain. So we're going to have an international flair to today's show.
I love it. And of course, if you're brand new to the reining episode, we've done one other. We are always going to have the reining episode on the second Thursday of every month. You can find all the past episodes, in this case one, by going to Horses in the Morning, scrolling down to the middle of the page, click on the reining banner, and that'll bring you to all the past episodes. That's how you can catch those. I'm excited to talk about this because I understand I watch reining at the World Equestrian Games. I watch it sometimes, and I know dressage better because I'm from the English side, and I'm forced to watch it. But everybody knows it's not my favorite sport. But I'm excited to learn how the scoring works and how the judging works because it is different in every sport.
It is. Everyone has a nuance, right, of how it's judged in our horse world. So it'll be fun to get the details.
Speaking of judging, let's find out how all that works, and let's speak to our first guest.
Very excited to have Patti Carter on today. She is from St. George, Ontario, Canada. She has held judging credentials with many equine associations, including the Quarter Horse, in reining, in paints, Appaloosas, rein cows, and even the FEI. Patti has also coached riders and shown horses all over the world. She worked for American Quarter Horse Association as their executive director of shows and then as their senior director of judges and stewards. She now serves as our senior director of education and officials. She oversees all of our judges, stewards, and professionals. Patti, it's so good to have you on the show today. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be on Horses in the Morning podcast. It's my new favorite podcast.
Yay, she can stay. You don't have to get
Yes.
She can hang around for a little while.
Absolutely. It's awesome.
So, Patti, tell us a little bit about your journey that got you now as our staff person. Patti's our Senior Director of Education and Officials for the National Reining Horse Association, but she has some kind of fun past that she would love to share. So dive right in, Patti.
Okay, so I grew up in a very horsey family. My mom and dad carved a living out of the horse business, and my mom is no longer alive, but my dad still, at 80 years old, shoes and judges. So I grew up in I was immersed in the horse industry my entire life. Some people came to our door from Italy to purchase horses. They were just brand new in the industry. And it ended up being a family by the last name of Archesi, who is now the all-time leading owner of NRHA horses. And they purchased so my family was responsible for getting them involved in the horse industry to begin with.
So it's all because of you guys that they're there.
Exactly. And
they still give you a residual for every horse they sell now?
No, they don't, but they were so good, so kind to me. And, so I flew back and forth to Italy to help them with their horses and get them started. And in that sense, in that time, I met the Latorre family, and Eugenio is the son of Mr. Latorre, and he is now our chair of the Judges Committee, our very first international chair, who I know you're going to have on later. So it's very interesting when I was thinking through that thought process and how things happen in your life, that good and bad experiences that you have in your life that develop a foundation for what you do in your future. It's pretty interesting. And I was going to, from that experience, I ended up continuing on the family business and having my own training operation. So it's been so interesting how it's all, pointed to coming to NRHA.
It all ties together. And Glenn, I have to tell you, Patti and I laugh all the time because she just hit her year anniversary mark. And I'm not kidding, my year anniversary mark, of course, until July. And we're still like, oh my gosh, what do we have to do? We open up our email every day and said, oh, I didn't know that was part of my job description. Okay.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And I'm just like, so, Christy, you'll be so glad when you have a year under your belt.
Yes, I've done everything at least once that way, right?
I can feel for you guys because, it was October when we got bought out by Equine Network, and I'm still figuring out the corporate side of that. So, I'm with you.
Yeah,
Yes.
Give it a year. That first year is always brutal. I think my first year at AQHA, I vaguely remember it was a blur.
Well,
I was there for 11 years.
And I went from 14 years of running my own company to working for somebody again. That's always fun, too. That's always an interesting experience.
And that's what happened with me when I went to AQHA. I'd had my own business. I'd worked for myself my entire life up to that point. And, went in and something needed to be done. By golly, I just went ahead and did it. And was like, I quickly got my hand slapped. No, you've got to go through this person and this person and this person. I was
Me too.
Oh, that's how it works.
Yeah, me too. I'm with you.
Channels now.
Channels, those dang channels.
Stay in our lane, Patti. Stay in our lane.
You know what I forgot is how many meetings companies have. That I forgot.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
There are a lot of meetings.
Yes.
Death by meeting.
Yep.
Yes. That is true.
All right. Well, if any of us have jobs after this interview, we should be good to go.
I will say
I think
probably
we're going to be okay.
I've had the fewest meetings at NRHA way fewer meetings at NRHA than I did at AQHA. It's wonderful.
Well, there you go. All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about judging.
Yes.
Yes. So, as your role as Senior Director of the Education Officials, Patti, and a little bit about how it changed from being judged as an entire run to being judged as individual maneuvers. So let's dive right in and talk more about that.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting. In the 60s till the 80s, it was a 60 to 80 scale, and you'd watch the whole run. And when the horsemen banded together to create the NRHA, one of their main goals was to create a consistent and fair judging system. So, Gary talked about the original NRHA handbook. The very first one contained, it's like a golden rule. It's the Reining Pledge of Allegiance, a general. And a general remains unchanged to this day. So in the 80s, mid 85, the most substantial advance in the NRHA judging system came when they put a new system in place to score each individual maneuver rather than mark the run as a whole. And it was very revolutionary. And the reason that they went from throwing a number out there for the whole run, they had to show how they arrived at that score.
So it became more like they more like a dressage, how they test or how they judge dressage then.
Exactly.
Okay.
So in addition to making judges more accountable to the contestants, the new system added a higher degree of objectivity to the scoring system. And that scoring system influenced Western riding and horsemanship beyond the reining arena. So it was I got my AQHA card in '89, and we had already adopted that scale of judging that we judge the reiners on in the trail and Western riding. And they use it for the ranch riding, and it's in parts of the cow horse they use it. So that was very revolutionary, the NRHA judging system.
Tell us a little bit, Patti, about the pluses and the minuses and what a good score is in reining, what a phenomenal score is. Give us a little bit of insight on that, if you would.
Absolutely. So there's 16 set patterns that are either 7 or 8 maneuvers. And each maneuver is scored on a scale of -1.5 to +1.5. And so 0 is your correct maneuver. And then if you're watching a maneuver and it's good, it would be a +0.5. Very good is +1. Excellent is +1.5. And then a poor maneuver is -0.5. Very poor is -1. And extremely poor is -1.5. So the base score starts at 70, and each maneuver has a score from that range. Now, if there's deviations of the pattern, there's set penalties that are also then deducted from that final score.
So if they miss a movement or whatever.
So a perfect score in a 7 maneuver pattern would be an 80.5. And a perfect score in an 8 maneuver pattern would be an 82. That has not yet been achieved, but close. We've had some 78 scores, some 79, 79.5 scores. So the horses are just so phenomenal. The breeding is unbelievable. The horsemen are just so just amazing how they can communicate with these animals and make them do what they do. And the horses are athletic and such athletes.
So
I love Pat.
Can I ask a question here?
Of course.
Is it like dressage in that your judges are rated for what levels they can do? Is it the same in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we've got a judging criteria or a judging judges rating system that we use from A to AAA in our judges. And so as a new NRHA judge, you would be automatically a single A judge. And as you get more experience and work your way through the ranks, you become a AAA judge.
And does it pay as well as dressage?
I think it
That
pays.
was a joke.
Yeah, I think we pay a little bit better. We probably pay at the top end of all the judging, of all the ranges. Yes. Yes.
Because they're not known for getting paid really well.
No. We try to take really, great care of our judges. There's so much focus that is put into judging, especially at a high level. And, at any level, the judges go out there, and we require our judges to recertify every 2 years. So they, recertify, and we've got judges from, our judges are from 15 countries, and they recertify every 2 years out of their own pocket. So they travel to a judge school that is hosted by NRHA and re-up their certification. And judges take great pride in being at the top of their game, and they know that every decision they make drives the industry, drives the breeding, drives the showing and how the industry goes.
And Patti, can you talk a little bit about those listeners that might be interested in, let's say, not just being a judge, but there's other things too, like a scribe. Can you talk a little bit about how those work and how people listening might get involved?
Absolutely. So there is, the NRHA Judges Program offers It's called Behind or From the Judge's Chair to You. And it's a one-day workshop that anybody can put on. And we have one of our judge committee members come in, and it's kind of like a school, but from the perspective of an exhibitor. They can do that. Our maneuvers standard tape is available at NRHA.com in the shopping area. There's scribing. And so as a scribe, and it's different from dressage where they have comments. They don't offer comments in the reining. So a scribe records what the judge is seeing and makes sure the addition is correctly, added. The addition is correct and it's entered in the tablet properly.
Do you guys do I know you don't comment the individual movements like in dressage. By the way, I could never scribe because I can't even read my writing and nobody would read it. But I think that's a requirement. But at the end, do they have comments?
They do not.
Okay.
They do not. They push them in the arena pretty quick.
Okay.
And
gotcha.
It happens pretty fast.
All
as
right,
soon as one's done, the next horse is coming in.
How do you do 30, 40 of these a day, right, as a judge? Especially in the smaller shows where you're just pumping them through all day long. Yeah. How do they not all look alike after a while?
It takes a lot of focus. It takes a lot of focus to be a judge and to stay focused from start to finish. We have a rule in our handbook that says shows can't go over 12 hours. And part
That's
of that
a long
is
time.
it's a long day. If you think of just sitting in a chair for 12 hours and getting up maybe once an hour to go to the bathroom and have people bring you horse show food, it makes for a long day.
That's 10 cups of coffee at least.
At least.
No, I think about that with those judges sitting there for any kind of show, right?
Yes. Well, you have a system that you stay focused on as you're going through, and it's the departure of the maneuver and what's happening in the middle, and you talk yourself through each run until you come to a score. It's the circles. They've got good pattern placement, their speed, they're challenging, the horse's body is straight. They come down, so I'm on a very good, they come down right in the center to their small slow. They're good movers. They have rhythm and cadence. I'm still at a very good. They have an excellent lead change. I'm at a +1.5. That's an excellent maneuver. So you talk your way through each of the components that make up a maneuver, and it takes you to that score. And then you go on to the next maneuver. You don't worry about that. You leave that one behind and think about the next.
And you said how many different tests are there?
16.
16. And that's for all levels, or there's like 4 for each level, or what? How does that work?
That's for all levels.
Okay.
And then we have an A and B pattern for para reining and the short stirrup that are, modified, more simplified patterns.
Is para reining? I know para overall, we cover para extensively, and we have a lot of friends that ride para. Is para reining becoming more and more popular now?
It is. It really is. And actually we're having para reining at the Derby this year in Oklahoma City.
Because that hasn't gone on forever. If I remember right, that's something that started in the recent past.
It has.
Yeah. Like it was a spinoff of the dressage, and the most paras riding dressage.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think that's great. That's perfect. I love that.
Yes. Yeah. It really is. We have at NRHA, there's something for every level of rider. We have the short stirrup for the kiddos and the para reining, and we have green reiner, and we have all the different levels in the non-pro and the different levels in the open. And there's some place for every horse and every rider.
Paras don't do the spin, do they? Because that would be interesting with how some of them are attached to the saddle.
Yeah, they do modified.
Okay,
yeah.
I was going to say, because I can see that being dangerous.
Yeah, no, they do. They do 3 spins.
Cool.
In the one pattern. Mm-hmm.
Huh. Well, I'm glad that's happening. I'm excited that it's becoming more popular too.
It is. It's great. And then the other para pattern, they do 2 spins. So one pattern has 2 and one has 3.
Gotcha.
Patti, I so appreciate you being on the show today and explaining this, because I think it's like you said, revolutionary, and it's helped other Western disciplines in their scoring systems too. So thank you for that. Is there anything else that you would like to add before we close?
Well, I just appreciate the opportunity to serve the NRHA membership and serve the horses that are great athletes. And, we're in a service industry, and it's an awesome to get an opportunity to work with Christy and all the staff here at NRHA. It's been a great journey, and looking forward to many more years of it.
Okay, so I have another question for you. Does the before I let you go, does the NRHA have stewards at shows? Like,
they do, and that is part of my department. I oversee professionals, stewards, and judges.
So then the stewards have the same kind of authority that they would at a dressage show or a jumping or event?
Yes, they're there to oversee the welfare of the whole entire event,
right,
whether it be, horses, dogs, people.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
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 I always call them the safety police. They're kind of like the safety police.
They are. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. We have 64 stewards worldwide.
That's a job I wouldn't want, to be honest.
It is a tough job. It really.
Nobody likes you at some point during the day. You're not liked at some point. It's like,
our best stewards have very good people skills.
I bet.
Yes.
First requirement.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm not sure I would have the patience to be a steward. I think I'd just get fed up.
It takes a special kind. I will tell you, our stewards are just one in a million. They really do an outstanding job, and they stay energized the whole time. And my hat's off to them too, because that is a hard job.
Christy's very nice and sweet, but Christy also doesn't put up with crap. I don't know if she'd be a good steward either, to be honest. She doesn't put up with any nonsense.
It's funny you mentioned that. It's you're able to say, take a hike with a smile, right?
Yes.
I mean, you have to be able to be. Yeah, I was a steward for a couple of IEA shows, which is Interscholastic Equestrian Association, for like 4th to 12th grade, and I was the risk management safety police.
For high schoolers?
What about the helmet fit? What about the girth tightening? Why are you mounting and dismounting in that unsafe way in the paddock? All those things. Yes.
Oh my God.
They fired her.
That's funny. They did not. They'll have me come back again. I actually, unlike you, Glenn, I don't mind being a steward. I'd be stressed out being a scribe because I'm not good at math.
Yeah, well.
And I would wander, my brain would wander, and I'd write the wrong plus or minus down, and then I would not want to be a judge. I think that's a tremendous responsibility. So it's great how we all have our place, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There was an advantage to being the class clown in high school. Look at my job now. So,
you see, all those experiences.
Yeah, we all end up where we're supposed to.
Hey, see, it's a full circle.
Thank you, Patti. We appreciate you joining us.
Thanks, Glenn. Thanks, Christy.
A word was mentioned, and I just wanted to clarify because I wasn't quite sure. It's a general. So, you're going to hear that today.
Absolutely. So it's general. And what that basically means, it's the mission statement for everything reining in regards to why the sport exists and how the sport is judged. So just to read a little bit from it so that people understand even where our name comes from, right? National Reining Horse Association. To rein a horse is not only to guide him, but also to control his every movement. The best reined horse should be willingly guided or controlled with little or no apparent resistance and dictated to completely. Any movement on his own must be considered a lack of control.
Okay. So it is kind of like a mission statement.
It is. And it's, I think that's why in reining you always see, which you should with any leverage bit, right? But you see the long loopy reins, and that horse is 100% being guided by the seat and the legs and not the reins. Why do you see sometimes in freestyle reining, people can go bridleless?
Right.
I mean, that's right. That's completely willing to be guided without even a bit in their mouth. So that is truly, the mission statement kind of for everything reining in regards to the sport and how it's judged.
Well, next up, we are going to continue the conversation on judging. But we're going to a foreign country. We're going to Spain.
We are. This is Eugenio Latorre, and Eugenio is a professional trainer, and he also has judges cards with NRHA, AQHA, and the Rein Cows. He has more than 20 years of experience. He has judged our NRHA Futurity 13 times, which is the biggest and most prestigious reining competition in the world. He is always present at all the large European reining shows, such as our Derby and our Futurity. He is an educator and gives clinics and seminars worldwide. He also is a multiple Futurity, Derby, and Maturity winner himself, not only in reining, but also in the cow, horse, and cutting disciplines. Eugenio is currently the president of NRHA Spain. Eugenio, thank you so much for being on the show today. It is a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
So tell us a little bit more about where exactly in Spain you're located.
I'm not very far away from Barcelona, so it'll be northeast of Spain. And I'm just like maybe 30 miles north. I'm very close to the seaside, so it'll be just 10 miles. So that kind of makes it even better and nicer. And it's very, very close also to France. I mean, it's only maybe 70 miles to the border.
One day I'm going to have to come for a visit.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a nice village, not very crowded. Where I live in, we got our facilities here close to the village, and it's been great. Yeah.
Well, I heard that you just got back from a judge school and that you do judge schools for us all over. You've been to Israel, and the one you just got back from is in South Africa. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. I mean, I didn't get to go visit around, maybe next trip, but it's been great because it's one of new coming countries for reining with the NRHA, and it was their very first new applicant for judges seminar. So it's been very excited. And we had like 17 or 18 participants. 9 of them took the test. So hopefully some of them will pass. That is going to make it easier for them. Having somebody that can eventually judge, and he's local. So for the small shows, at least they don't have to contact somebody from overseas or very far away, and will make their budget a bit more reasonable.
They have some challenges in South Africa because of the rules around shipping horses with disease and everything. So is it pretty much localized? Do they ever travel, or if they do travel, do they live overseas?
It's very hard for them to ship horses. I understood that it's very expensive. They're trying to raise more horses there at the moment. They are also importing, of course. I don't know as far as paperwork. For sure, they need a lot of paperwork and documentation as far as moving horses and around. But they do have shows throughout the country. For what I understand is they have 2 groups of shows, one closer to Johannesburg and one closer to Cape Town. And let's say that it's been very interesting. The people are really excited about reining, and that's going to really grow, I believe, yeah.
Are they using all quarter horses, or they have their own breed there?
No. At least what I saw, since I judged one smaller show on the first day before when I arrived, they mainly use quarter horses. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, Kirsty.
And then, Eugenio, what other countries do you feel are up and coming in reining?
Well, there is countries that maybe they don't have big numbers yet, but they have people really involved. They're investing a lot. I believe Israel is one of them. Are far away, from the rest of the other countries that show reining. So it's not easy for these countries. Japan. Then, of course, there is some smaller states in Europe where now is growing faster. Spain is one example where I'm at. We didn't have an NRHA until 5 years ago, so as soon when I got over, we started it. So that's it's been increasing the numbers of participants and shows. So that's good. Yeah.
Well, I love that you're not only the president of the NRHA there in Spain, but you're also our current chair of the judging committee. And we are so thrilled to have you in that capacity. Could you tell us a little bit more about what chairing that committee is all about?
Yeah. Well, to tell you the truth, first of all, it's a great honor to be chairman of the committee. I've been serving on the committee for many years. And this is the first time I've been asked to be chair from this year, and it's been a lot of work. Working with Patti makes it easier for me, being from overseas, being out of the States. So it's for sure having somebody like Patti Carter helps coordinate the work. And, it's a position that carries important responsibilities for the growth of the judges program and for the education.
Well, we so appreciate you doing it because obviously it's voluntary, too. So that's wonderful that you want to commit of your time like this and do this for the sport.
Wait a minute. Somebody in the horse world doesn't make millions of dollars doing their job. I don't believe it. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, that's us. That's us of the committees.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
we have different. Yes, sorry.
I was just going to say, what do you like best about the scoring system as a whole with NRHA and how it all works? What do you feel are the highlights of that?
I believe the scoring system it's great for in our industry. I believe the scorecard itself, how current still is, and it's a great instrument to transmit the competitors what the judge saw in each maneuver and in the full run. So I think it reflects really the decisions of the judge. And then we have, of course, other tools that the judges uses for making the decisions. And we have to also consider that the judge makes a lot of decisions because each maneuver will bring into play at least 5 decisions. And that means at the end of the run with 7-8 maneuvers, we have a total of a lot of them. And that's just one run. But anyway, I think 8 General is one of our tools as judges and is the best description of a reining horse should be like and his performances. Then we have the maneuver descriptions, which describe what the correct maneuver should be. And then I would also mention maybe the hierarchy of concerns, which means that the judge has to know first that the horse is on pattern, then he's executing the maneuver correctly, and then the degree of difficulty that makes it more exciting for a public, for an audience, and for the judge themselves to see.
That's wonderful news. I think that the judging system is so, we were talking about it earlier, revolutionary in regards to now other disciplines and especially within the Western world using it. And I'm just so glad that you are, I believe, our current president, Mark Blake, who was on our inaugural show last month, mentioned that you are our very first international chairman. So of a committee as well. Is that true?
Yeah, that is true, and like I said earlier, I think it's not very easy from here, from Europe, to follow. Also, with the time change, everything that goes on. But luckily, we have a very good connection with the rest of the office and the rest of the committee, and also with our senior director of judges and officials and stewards, which is Patti. Yeah.
But I so appreciate you being on today and sharing this. I know for you, it's the evening time, so thank you for taking time out of your evening to be on. Is there anything else, Eugenio, that you would like to add for the show today?
I don't know if this might get into too much technical, but I think I really believe we are going the right direction for our sport as a judges program, as a judges committee, and what we're doing in these last years. I believe that we need time to improve some aspects that are critical to the judges program, of course. With that said, the most important is that we have to always remember that the judges are on the rider's side. I really like to say that, just because sometimes riders think that we are the enemy. We're not. We hope that everyone that walks in that pen or lopes in that pen, whatever they have to do, what their parent tells them to do, we really want them to score a 75 or 76. Then, of course, we are forced and we are dictated to use our rules and our rule book, but we are on the rider's side. So I would like to say that for sure.
I love that you mentioned that, because it's very intimidating, right, to be judged, and it's a little scary. And it is nice to know that judges are on the rider's side. And I think that that is something that sometimes competitors, especially new competitors, right, to the show pen, can get a little bit out in their head too much, right? So I love that you brought that up. That's a great way to put it.
So can I ask you guys logistically, in the lower levels, obviously it's one judge, but then there are more judges as the higher levels get. So you might have 2 or 3 judges, or is it always just one judge?
No, we have different type of shows that we name them with a letter. Basically, we have D shows, C shows, B shows, WA and AA, which are basically shows that have a certain amount of money added and prizes added. And with that corresponds a number of judges. Basically, the smaller shows will have maybe just one judge, and as much money as is added to the horse show will have more judges. So to the point that we have up to 5 judges, and what they'll do in those situations with the 5 judges system, which is the system that works the best, they will drop down the higher and the lower score, and they'll keep the 3 scores in the middle.
Okay, I can't let them go unless I ask this question, because I'll get hate from the listeners if I don't. So you're in Spain, the home of the Andalusian, right? Are they using Andalusians for reining?
Not really. In some places they use them for schools, but not for.
I knew the answer to that, but I could picture it though. It'd be very pretty. It would be.
It would be looking a little bit like what the South American horse, the Criollo, looked like many years ago. I mean, the origin is that. So
is it all? Is it all quarter horses in Spain?
In the reining shows that we organize, most of them are. Okay. We have some paints and Appaloosas, but most of them are quarter horses.
And are they breeding or importing or?
Both.
Okay.
Both. Yeah.
I'm so used to the English disciplines where we import, obviously it's been importing everything from Europe, and it goes the opposite in reining, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Eugenio, so much for being on today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, and hopefully it'll be a success this year for everybody, and I hope the reining will grow everywhere around the world like it is right now.
So next up, we have Gary Carpenter, and Gary Carpenter is the commissioner of the National Reining Horse Association. He has had executive positions with the American Association of Equine Practitioners, the Jockey Club, which is, of course, the thoroughbred industry, the American Quarter Horse Association, and also Colorado State University, where my son is currently attending. So that's fun. And Gary is, of course, Sarah's and my boss. So be nice to me, okay. Glenn.
All right, I'll try. And you know what? He's done a lot of varied stuff.
He has. He has been, I always tease him, kind of the CEO, executive director, commissioner of all things equine.
Yeah.
And his
English, Western,
journey has been good.
Racing. I mean, he's got a little bit of everything in there.
He sure does. And actually, one thing that I forgot to put on his bio, because there's so many things, I met him way back in the day when he worked for the Arabian Horse Trust. So he has Arabians in his background, too.
He's the all-horse guy.
That's right.
Let's talk to Gary.
So, Gary, what do you think you are most excited about in regards to the sport of reining now and in the immediate future?
Christy, things are going so well right now, I could go on and on. So I'll try and identify a few things. One is, and anyone that owns a television set knows about the impact of Taylor Sheridan, Yellowstone, that whole phenomenon, which has created a tsunami for the sport of reining, because in addition to what he's done on Paramount. He was the brainchild behind the Run for a Million, which happens in Las Vegas each August. The event has only been held 4 times. Would have been held 5, but for the COVID year. Even though it is so young, it is such a fixture in our sport already and drawing so many fans and so much attention. So that's huge. Teton Ridge, our friends with that group, headed by Thomas Tull, staged the first American Performance Horseman in Arlington, Texas at Globe Life Field in March of this year, brought together the top 5 cow horse cutters and reiners for that competition. And anyone that was there, among the 22,000 people, can tell you that it was colossal. It was beyond anything we've ever seen in terms of the stage, the excitement, the size of the crowd, the camaraderie of the competitors, the excellence of the horses. So there's so much going on. And at another level, at the state and regional and local level, horse shows are bigger, which means more people are enjoying the sport of reining and having fun with it. So that's all good. And so the future from that is that more people want horses, more people want to ride, they want to take lessons, they want to learn about this sport, and they want to participate. The other thing that's always exciting to me here at NRHA is our international involvement. I'll be leaving in about 2 weeks for our NRHA European Futurity, which is in Cremona, Italy, an event for 4-year-olds that we hold each year. We hold 2 events, our Futurity and our Derby in Europe. And it's so fun to see the excitement of the crowds, of the riders, of everyone at those events, because they're just exuberant about our sport. That makes it even more fun.
I agree. I felt so lucky to be, just July since I've been a part of this, and it has just been energetic from the get-go. There is not a dull moment at all. We are just full steam ahead on so many things, and we just got off today on a podcast where we had 26 NRHA professionals on kind of a mental mindset training that a sponsor of ours did. And it was fantastic. And they were literally calling at 1 a.m. Australia time to be a part of it because it was a not recorded session. I mean, from all over. So I think all of those pieces that you mentioned, Gary, are so exciting. And it's what's giving us the energy. They are.
That is exciting. And you may have told Glenn that I'm transitioning. I'm leaving NRHA at the end of this calendar year. And the thing I'm most excited about and at the same time going to miss the most is our staff. We have an incredible staff, including Christy here at NRHA.
I'm glad he included you.
Isn't that nice of him? He's sometimes nice to me like that.
On occasion. But, I've only known Christy, 30 years now, for crying out loud?
Oh, my goodness, I know. Scary.
It seems like we've all known Christy for 30 years.
Great.
And yet she's only 30 years old.
I know.
That's
she's
the part
so young.
I don't
We're old.
understand.
She stays young. I don't know how that works.
She does. Anyway, so bright future on all fronts.
Well, Gary, we were just chatting about this, on the last show, too, about how there's probably a lot of listeners that are brand new to the sport of reining and they don't necessarily know a ton about it. So if you were chatting with somebody brand new to the sport, what would you share with them about reining?
Well, I get asked that question a lot because although we think we're well established and we're global and those sorts of things, which we are, that's all true, but there's a lot of people that have never really been exposed to reining. And what I usually use with them is the figure skating analogy that we have circles and spins and slides, except it's a Western event on horseback. That's for the brand new ones. For the ones that have had more exposure to a horse, I might say something like, okay, so everyone drives a car, but this is the difference between driving your dad's Oldsmobile and driving a Maserati, where your heart will be in your throat and you have to be on your toes every second, because it is it's an exciting sport, but it's also demanding. It requires complete concentration from the rider, because these horses are honed to such a fine edge that they can turn out from under you in a heartbeat, and that's not what you want. That's not a credit earning maneuver. You want to stay centered. You want to maintain your concentration as you go through the pattern and the maneuvers.
Yes, and we're going to be jumping into more of that today in regards to the judging. So I'm really glad you brought that up, because I know that changed, over time for NRHA. And I think it was an amazing moment when we went from scoring the entire run to just scoring the individual maneuvers. That was a huge change, and I think very beneficial.
I think that was a watershed moment, and the fact that almost every Western discipline has adopted pieces of that tells you a lot about it. It also tells you, and Patti may quote a general, which is our first rule, and that absolutely defines reining, and it really kind of spoke it into existence. And so it's been, and I've followed reining for a long time. It's fascinating to see how, as the horses get better, as the training gets better, as the footing gets better, it's so much more demanding and competitive, and yet we seem to keep finding another level. We haven't topped out yet.
Well, Gary, as I mentioned in your bio, and one of the reasons why you have been so important in my life is because you have been involved in all breed, all discipline, very much so from the get-go of your career. And now that you are going to be going off into the sunset, even though you're really not, because you're going to be now part of a hotel, I would love for, if you're okay sharing this a little bit, tell us a little bit about the history of what your next adventure is going to be.
Well, what's the adage? If you got a choice between smart and lucky, take lucky. And I don't know that we're smart or lucky on either of these. This hotel, which is the historic Wortley Hotel in Lincoln, New Mexico, was first built in 1872. And it's across the street from the jail, one of the many jails that Billy the Kid broke out of. And so it's in the town of Lincoln, which is it's a state historic district in New Mexico. We have one street light. We have one overhead light. We have no stoplights in Lincoln, 183 people, a bar that's open part of the time, a coffee shop that's open part of the time. And it's very authentic because almost all the buildings, including ours, are adobe, and it certainly harkens back to the days of the Old West. We're 10 miles from Fort Stanton, which is one of the many forts that the federal government put in to protect settlers from raids by the natives, and it's still there. It's not, and there's great horseback riding all around that fort and all through the Capstan Mountains. So it's a unique spot, and you pretty much don't find it unless you're absolutely looking for it. But I encourage you to come visit us.
Is it a boutique hotel? Is it a lot of rooms?
We have we have 5 rooms.
Oh, it's a tiny hotel.
It's a tiny hotel. We have 5 rooms, and we serve breakfast. And a lot of people just like to walk up and down the streets, read the signs, check out the history, and you can, in 10 feet, you can have 17 different conversations about Billy the Kid. Was he a scallywag? Was he a hero? What was he? So it's a pretty fascinating place. And then just right up the road, less than 5 miles, is the site where Smokey Bear was found with his little burned paws back in the 1960s. And he's what launched the Only You Can Prevent Forest Fires campaign.
So let me get this right. You're leaving the commissioner of an organization of tens of thousands to go run a hotel that's 5 rooms?
Well, and I might add an association that's on fire. So
well, you know what? That sounds relaxing to me, though, Gary. It
well,
really does.
We'll see how it goes. I haven't bought a new horse this spring. I'd like to ride him once in a while. I probably will do some consulting, and I know I'll enjoy whatever I do.
I think it sounds wonderful. I think it sounds perfect, actually.
Yeah.
Well, good luck. I can't wait to go stay there.
Okay. Well, come on. We have a spot for you.
All right, good. Well, thanks, Gary. We appreciate you joining us.
Thanks, Glenn. Thanks, Christy. Adios. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, now we have another place to go. Not only are we going to Spain on the NRHA's budget, but we can go to South Africa, and then we can come back to New Mexico and stay at Gary's little place there.
I think we should go to Lincoln. I think we want to find out more about Billy the Kid.
You know what? What he's doing in his retirement is what my wife and I had talked about. It just sounds like it's perfect. And 5 rooms is just enough, right?
Yes, because any more would be a little bit over the top.
It'd be a hassle, right? And then you got too many people, and you have to deal with too many people. This is perfect. I love what he's doing. I think it's great. And it's going to be quite a switch from the responsibilities he's had in the past.
It is. So for some people, they probably think retirement equals sitting on a beach somewhere. But for Gary, it's still work. But in comparison to what he's done in his career, this is, like you said, a lot lighter.
Yeah, a lot lighter. He has to make a lot of eggs, though. He's going to be making a lot of eggs at that B&B's guy there. I think it's great.
That's true.
And you know what? He has such a reputation. With people he knows, he's going to fill the place up all year.
I think you're right about that because we got to go. So
yeah,
there you go.
We have to go. I've never been to New Mexico.
Never, ever?
I know. That's one of the states I've missed.
Well, we're going to have to go in October when they do the balloon festival.
Oh, yeah. I've always wanted to do that. Apparently, you have to reserve that at like 10 years in advance. It's like so busy.
Well, we know people now, Glenn.
Oh, that's true. We do. The Albuquerque Balloon Festival. I'd love to do that. You can camp right there and spend the whole week there. That would be so much fun.
It'd be awesome.
Yep. Have you ever done a balloon ride?
You know, I have done a balloon ride. I actually won one in a silent auction, and the boys and John and I got to go up, and it was intense. I'll tell you, we enjoyed it very much.
But were you like scared to death on the way up, or?
You know, we went out over a lake, and I think our balloonist did it on purpose to make a shriek come out of me because I did a shriek. We almost hit the fence, and we almost hit the water, and I went, ah! And he laughed. I go, do you do that to all your people that ride in your balloon? And he goes, I might. And he giggled at me.
I hear after you get up there, though, it's so quiet and just lovely.
Peaceful.
Yeah. How's the landing?
A little rough, not going to lie. Engage your core.
We used to have them land when we lived in Pennsylvania. We had a 100-acre farm, and they used to take off, and we, for some reason, were near where they landed. So we've had them land, near our property before. And it always looks like they have a pretty rough landing at times.
They bounce.
Yeah.
They don't just settle
and then
like
they
a
fall
helicopter.
Down sometimes. They fall over.
You got to hold on. Oh, he even said, he goes, do not lock your knees, engage your core, and hold on tight. And we went bam, 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 and we bounced like 4 or 5 times in this stubble field, and then we finally came to a stop.
How were the kids? How old were they at the time?
Oh, teenagers. So they thought it was great. It was like, fun. They thought it was super.
It was the best roller coaster ever.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it was like legit a moment of, we might actually fall out.
I haven't talked to you about your son being at college. What's he studying?
Yeah, so he is studying, and I think this is so cool. He's studying tourism.
At Colorado State.
Yes, natural resource environmental tourism. And we're going to go to Costa Rica in July, and that's one of the best countries for that. Really looking forward to it. And I think already he has a teacher asking for him to write a paper on it. So it's going to be good.
I think that's a great career choice, being somewhat in that world for a period of time. I think it's a great choice.
I think he'll enjoy it a lot. He loves, people. He loves, he's been a lifeguard, as you know, at our big water park here. He's been a ice skating rink coordinator guy and, helping people that fall on the ice. So he likes the public. I think he'll enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say he'll have his own podcast someday. All right. Tell us where people can learn more about the NRHA.
Yes, please. So anyone listening, whether you want to become involved in reining, you can come to our website and find a professional near you. Obviously, you can find a horse show to come watch near you, or you can become an NRHA fan, or all the above. And that is NRHA and then .com for most things, but go ahead and go to NRHA/fan to really find out more about how to be a part of it all. And just know that it is truly a website that's very interactive. So dive on there and look all around.
And I'll remind you, you can find all the episodes of the NRHA here at Horses in the Morning. Go to horsesinthemorning.com, scroll down the middle of the page, and click on the Reining banner, and that'll bring you to all the episodes. Thank you so much for joining us. Tomorrow, Jamie and I will be back with some really bad ads. Get your ads into Jennifer at horseradionetwork.com. Thanks, Christy.
Thanks, Glenn. Now, everyone, go out and enjoy the slide of your life.